advances to the Final Four.
Shout out Chillinois Basketball Podcast.
Shout out to Chillinois Podcast.
Shout out Chillinois Podcast.
Shout out Chillinois Basketball, man.
Welcome back to another episode of the Chillinois Basketball Podcast. We're doing two in one day because we're cool like that and we're hard workers. And the tournament just doesn't stop. And the Illini have advanced to the Elite Eight and they will face Iowa, the 9 seed in the South region in Houston. That game will tip off tomorrow, Saturday at 5:09 p.m. on TBS. And it's all on the line for the Illini. It's all on the line for Iowa. Both teams have a chance at the Final Four. Iowa trying to make their first Final Four since 1980. The Illini trying to make their first Final Four since 2005. This is the Illini's second Elite Eight in 3 years. Nonetheless, this is just an absolutely massive game from the Illini side. I can go on and on about what this means for the team. You can exercise the demons of Bruce Pearl and the Iowa rivalry from the 80s. You can exercise the demons of there weren't any demons to exercise because the Illini used to beat Luka Garza when they had Kofi Cockburn, but I'm talking about the DeMonte Williams and Connor McCaffrey spat with the great picture of them getting up in each other's faces. This is a rivalry. I will say it. This is a rivalry game for the Illini, whether Illini fans like to think of Iowa as a rival or not. This is a game that has been fiery in past seasons. This is a game that has had fouls. This is a game that has had technical fouls in past seasons, fights in past seasons. Illinois and Iowa do not like each other when it comes to terms, or when it comes in terms of basketball. And I don't think they'll like each other very much on Saturday night when they both have a chance to go to the Final Four. I'm especially excited for this game because I think it just means an entirely enormous amount for this Illinois program. You've got Brad Underwood, a coach who, we've talked about it a few times on this podcast, and we've been angry at Brad and let our emotions maybe run a little bit too far and had the conversation, is Brad on the hot seat? Is Brad a good in-game coach? Enough of that. Brad's got us to a second Elite Eight in 3 years, but he has the opportunity to take this team to this first Final Four under his coaching realm, under his leadership. And I think if Brad gets to a Final Four with this team, whether they win or lose in the Final Four, whether they make the national championship game, you have to start talking about Illinois as one of the elite programs in college basketball. They're the winningest Big Ten program in terms of wins in the last 7 years. They've made multiple Sweet 16s. They've won multiple Big Ten tournament conference titles. They've won multiple Big Ten regular season conference titles. Adding a Final Four to Brad Underwood's resume, you're talking about just program changing success right there. The amount of recruits that are going to look at this and see Illinois on their list of teams that they want to go play for now, especially in Europe. I think we could even dive deeper, and I don't want to get too much into it about retention for next year because we could do that on another episode and talk about it for 45 minutes. But, if you get to a Final Four with this team, any rumor of David Mirkovich transferring, I think, goes out the window. I think you could potentially keep Andre. I think you could potentially keep Tomislav and Zonomir. If you make a Final Four and don't win, I think it's fuel to the fire for the next season. Let's come back and do this again. And if you do win, why the hell would you leave and go anywhere else? You're the best team in college basketball. Let's run it back like UConn did. So this game has a lot of implications. I'm almost just as nervous as I was for the Houston game as I am for this one, because the worst thing about it, Noah, is in hindsight, we're going to look back on this season and it's going to be a great success. Because it was, 2 months ago where we were saying, holy crap, we might not even get it out of the round of 32. Holy crap, this Illinois team peaked at the wrong time. We won 13 straight games, 14 straight games, I think it was. And then we shit the bed. People got injured. We didn't know what we were doing without Kylan. We didn't know where Andre's role fit in. He got injured. All in all, this season's going to be looked at as success. Win or lose tomorrow against Iowa. But it would be one of the biggest stains to have such a successful season and have it wrapped up because you lose to Iowa, the 9 seed. What did they finish? 8th in the Big Ten? Let me check here. 9th. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 9th in the Big Ten. 9th in the Big Ten. 9th in the tournament. Come on. Which makes this game all the more worrisome because I think the expectations of Illinois to beat Iowa are that much higher, at least in terms of Illinois fans' opinion. But I don't think this is going to be a dominant one-sided performance. I know Greg said that on his Sleepers podcast. I think he said 90 to 56, which I was like, Greg, you're scaring the shit out of me right now. But I would love to see it. He did mention Purdue did it a few years ago when they just waltzed into the Final Four. I forgot who they beat, but they beat them by like 35 points. The game was not even close from the under 16 at the first half.
Yeah, but we got
I
these
would,
overinflated balls, dude.
yeah.
These balls, you're not going to score 90 points with these balls. Except
I
I
mean,
think
I would
Michigan
love.
literally just did it.
I'd love to see it. I just don't think it's going to happen against Iowa. Iowa is a very capable shooting team. I think you could have a 20-point lead against Iowa, and that lead could diminish in about 3 minutes with Bennett Sturts and Cooper Koch and Alvaro Folgueras hitting shots like they have been in the NCAA tournament. Um, and to be quite honest, I'm not even sure the Illini are good. I mean, we saw it in the first game when Illinois played Iowa. They played Iowa at Carver Hawkeye in early January on the 1st of, or excuse me, the 11th of January. So it was this year. The Illini won 75-69. Keaton scored 19 points. Andre scored 17. But the Illini were up 23 points in that game. And it came down to the last 2 minutes where Iowa was down four and Illinois needed free throws to pull away in the last 2 minutes. So it's not like this Iowa team is going to roll over. I don't think we're going to 30-0 UConn run them and have them crying on the bench like Terrence Shannon Jr. and Coleman Hawkins. But I don't know. I'm optimistic. There's so much worry about this game because gosh darn it, if we don't win this, it's like what a shit stain that was on the end of the season. Um, but I'll let
It
you.
almost it almost feels like destiny at this point. Like I genuinely, I mean, I guess you could look at it the same way if you're an Iowa fan. Like they're destined to go far. But I do genuinely think this team is destined for a Final Four. It just the connection there is special. The way they interact. I mean, we saw the post game interview and they're all hugging and Tommy's whispering in David's ear and I
Oh,
want
that was
I
one of the
don't
greatest clips we've ever gotten from David Mirkovich after that game, where I think it was Lauren Shahadi, and she was like, "Can you tell me what he said in your ear?" No, no, secret, secret. I
yeah,
cannot say it, secret.
Yeah, Lauren Shahadi. I mean, she was hot, and that's probably what they were talking about too. Is and David
Hey,
Mirkovich
well,
is a
let's not
gentleman.
spill their secrets, man. We can't give
David
away some
Mirkovich,
stuff.
he's a gentleman, so he can't tell it out loud. But th this team just they've got a special aura, a special swagger about them. You know, the sneak attack with the squirt guns yesterday, and it's all just it feels like it's too much for it to end in a random Iowa, matchup in the Elite Eight. I don't know. Call me crazy, but I just feel like I'm less worried about this one than I was even the Penn game. I just think that this is a team we've played before. I'm confident they can't go to a Final Four. Iowa in the Final Four does not sound right to me.
Hey,
So for that
Indiana just won the
reason,
college football national championship, so
but they were really good the year before. It's not like they weren't really good. Like Iowa hasn't been really good since Luca Garza 5 years ago. So for them to literally come out of nowhere and make a Final Four, now while I do think it's easier to make a Final Four than to make a national championship run in football, but still, 9 seed, like you said, finish ninth in the Big Ten. They are on a good run, but the run's going to end. Whether it ends with Illinois or the next one, I just don't see him making a national championship. But either way, I'm just at a point now where we just beat the scariest team in the tournament, in my opinion, apart from Arizona. I mean, there was people I saw a ranking before the game where it was ranking the teams, the best teams in the tournament, and it had Houston as the number one team remaining in the tournament, which I disagree with, and I disagreed before that, before the game. But either way, I mean, this was a game that most analysts were saying Illinois was going to lose that Houston game. Houston was 3.5 point favorite. Nebraska was 1.5 point favorite. That Iowa Nebraska game was a toss up. I don't understand the analysts talking like Illinois was supposed to win. Yeah, Illinois won, but you know, this Houston offense just isn't really that good, so it was expected. Like, oh, it was expected? Was that why Houston was 3.5 point favorite and why literally every analyst was picking Houston to win? The only people who weren't were like the Big Ten homers, like Andy Katz and those kind of guys. But for the most part, all the national guys were all picking Houston. And so I don't really understand the narrative of this Iowa team. Oh my God, they beat Nebraska. Nebraska's so good. Like it's Nebraska. Like, give me a break. They are both just a bunch of white guys. And we're also a bunch of white guys, but our white guys are taller and they're from Europe. Okay. They're not from Iowa or they're not from like Minnesota or Wisconsin. They're real, like fed on vodka, probably breastfed vodka as a baby. It wouldn't surprise me if Mark had a little bit when he was a child. He's kind of not right in the head. And I know Brad said a quote the other day. I can't remember what it was, but he said some quote where he was like, David Mirkovich is like the weirdest person you'll ever meet in a good way. And
Yeah.
that's the mentality you need. And I love it. So
No, he described him. I don't think he said his favorite player to coach, but he described him as like the biggest personality he's ever coached, I believe, was the term he used and the words he used. But um, on paper, I agree with you. This Illinois team should absolutely beat Iowa. Now it's March, so that doesn't really matter on paper. But on paper, let's go down the Iowa roster and talk about who plays well for them. Obviously, Bennett Sturts is their main guy. He is a Drake transfer. He came along with Ben McCollum, and before that, he was playing at a Division two school, the same Division two school that that Ben McCollum was coaching at before he was coaching at Drake. So they've been with each other for a long time. People have said Ben McCollum or Bennett Sturts is Ben McCollum's like son, basically, which is funny because it was Iowa who had Fran McCaffrey, who we did beat in the tournament already, which is just funny. Why are we playing Iowa after we've already beaten Fran McCaffrey? This is like a double dose of Iowa, and I'm getting sick of it. But um,
Fran is going to be hate watching this game,
oh
rooting for
yeah,
Illinois so hard, dude.
yeah.
He's going to be rooting for Illinois so hard.
But Bennett Sturts is kind of the go-to do-it-all guy. He will have the ball in his hands if there's 4 seconds left on the shot clock for Iowa, and he can make it all happen. The first game he played against Illinois, he was 5 for 17. He had 12 points. I think he's had a better string of games. He hasn't even had his like breakout performance of the tournament yet. Like I know people have been saying like if Iowa's going to beat Illinois, Bennett Sturts has to play better than he has been all tournament. Um, there is some crazy stat out there though. He's played 120 minutes in 3 games, so he hasn't come out of a game yet, and he only has 1 turnover. I wouldn't expect the Illini to force a lot of turnovers out of Iowa or Bennett Sturts, but I just think Kylan on him is just you don't see too many defenders like Kylan Boswell. So I'm giving the edge to the Illini in that matchup. But there's plenty of other players that can get it done for Iowa. Cooper Koch has really been turning on recently, as well as Alvaro Folgueras, their Spaniard from, well, I almost said they're Spaniard from Spain, but they're center from Spain. Um, I saw him throw down dunks against Nebraska. I wasn't even aware he was capable of dunking like that. I didn't know he could jump like that. I didn't know he had that enthusiasm to his game. He has turned it on to another level in the tournament, and they've certainly needed him. Now, he's only 6'10" though. So Iowa has size if you're going to look at size, but they don't see teams like Illinois. They don't, no team has 2 7-footers like Illinois. No team has 6'9" David Merkovich, who's 250 pounds. He's 20 pounds heavier than Fulgaris is, and Fulgaris has an inch on him. So like I said, on paper, this Iowa team has a lot of players that can keep them hanging around. Tate Sage has been playing well as well. Tavian Banks has been pretty good, but he's only 6'4". I'm sorry, he's 6'7". But I just, on paper, I see the Illini just being able to bully this team with mismatches. And the Illini are really good offensively at finding mismatches and continuing to go to them all game. They did it quite a bit in their first matchup in Carver Hawkeye Arena, where they went to Merkovich. Merkovich only had 7 points, but every single time they got him the ball, it was just a straight line drive to the basket. And I think it was usually like Tate Sage guarding him. And you're not going to stop David Merkovich with Tate Sage on them. So I like the Illini in this matchup, but like I said before, it's going to be a close game. I see no way in hell that this game isn't 5 points really close down the stretch, just because Iowa is like they're very connected right now. And Ben McCollum, as Carter said earlier on the Sleepers podcast, is a bit of a witch. He looks like he's 60 years old, but he's only 44. this is essentially Drake in Iowa uniforms, Drake and Idaho, or excuse me, Drake in Wyoming and Idaho or in Iowa uniforms. So it's like there hasn't been a Cinderella team this March yet, but if you want to dub any team a Cinderella, it's probably Iowa, just because this is a mid-major in a jersey and uniform of a high major team in the Big Ten, and they've made quite the run. But I'm not giving a game prediction like I haven't for the last two games, and we've won both of those pretty handily. But I think the Illini have the advantage here, certainly on paper, which is why I'm just so worried about it. Because should they lose this game, knock on wood, should they lose this one, it's just going to hurt so much worse because it's going to be one of those moments where it's like, Brad, it was right on our doorstep. We had the Final Four basically locked up. It's not like we're facing UConn, who's going to be the eventual national champions. Like we're not facing a behemoth. We're facing a team we've already faced in the Big Ten once this year. Um,
We're facing quite possibly the easiest Elite Eight matchup in the last 5 years. I mean, when has there been a 9 seed in the Elite Eight
Like
recently?
I
I
said,
mean,
South
see,
Carolina was in it in 2018 as a nine
what
seed.
NC State went pretty far recently with
Yeah,
DJ
NC State.
Burns.
But I don't. There was
But
they had
arguably,
some.
all those teams are better than this Iowa team. That's the thing. This Iowa team is like they're a really lucky 3-point shooting team. If they make a bunch of threes, then they can win. But that's about all they can do. And if Kylan Boswell can shut down Sturts, I genuinely don't see how Iowa wins this game. I mean, maybe other guys will get really, really hot. Maybe, you know, Sage will go for 30 points. But the way we're playing defensively right now, I mean, we're playing better than Florida defensively. We're playing better than Nebraska defensively. All the team, we're going to be the hardest defensive matchup right now that Iowa's faced in the last month at least. So as long as we can overwhelm them with our size and then rebound the ball like we're supposed to, and Kylan can handle his assignment, which I think he's more than capable of doing, I just think it's going to be a very tough time for Iowa.
What's also in the Illini's favor, I think, is the fact that I mean Iowa did just have to play Florida, the reigning national champions, and that wasn't an easy game for them. Florida started to come back at the end. They had to exert a lot of energy to get over the hump in that one. And then Nebraska, they were down that entire game until the last 2 minutes.
Well,
And
and
I know
on
Fred Hoiberg
Florida,
only sent four players out on that last play, so it was a little easier to play 5-on-4 basketball. But Iowa's coming off two games, and even their Clemson game was close. So they've played three straight close games, and now on a day's rest have to play Illinois, a much taller team, a much better shooting team than any team they've faced in the NCAA tournament so far, and probably, like you mentioned, a better defensive team at this point because the Illini have seemed to figure it out on that end. So
when Florida blundered in that Iowa game by leaving that guy wide open to shoot that three for Iowa, that was rookie mistake. Golden mentioned it in the post-game conference. Apparently, I didn't know this, but apparently his whole thing is when you're up two at the end of the game, analytically, you always foul. Supposedly, he wrote a whole book about it, which is just crazy to me that you'd write an entire book just on the premise that you should foul when you're up two at the end of a college basketball game. But interesting read, maybe. I'll check it out. Either way, I think Florida lost that game not as much as Iowa won that game. And I didn't watch the Nebraska game as I caught like the very end of it. But yeah, like you were saying, breakdowns offensively with the 5-on-4,
defensively, yeah.
defensively rather. And just, I mean, Nebraska couldn't hit a single shot at the end of that game. I watched like the last 2 minutes of it, and I wanted Iowa to win because I think that we have a better chance of beating Iowa than Nebraska because Nebraska's beaten us this year at least once. So I wanted Iowa to win, and I'm happy they did win. I still would rather play Iowa than Nebraska, and that's why I really don't understand all the sentiment online of like, I mean, I think Illinois fans are all in agreement like we should win this game. I'm kind of worried about it, but we should win this win. It's everybody else that's like Iowa, they're gonna do it. The Cinderella story is gonna stay alive. It's like
Well, that's like
maybe.
reverse psychology to me because it would make sense to me if Illini fans were like, "Shit, we're gonna lose this game," because Illini fans know that we'll get our foot on the doorstep and then like walk right off the door. Um, but it's like I guess that sentiment's maybe been passed around to the rest of the nation now, and they're like, "Well, Illinois is gonna lose in a big game because it's what they always do. It's like what they did against UConn. It's what they did against Duke last year on a national stage." But I mean, this is Iowa we're talking about now. I have a little bit of like a devil's advocate just because, like I've been saying, like, should Iowa win this game, it really sets the Illini back. Not necessarily the season as a success or a failure, but well, I think I'm lagging a little bit here. Can you still hear me?
Yeah, bro, you opened up a tab and now you're going into
I
Mars.
didn't open up anything,
I'll
so
I'll I want to add a comment. If Iowa wins this game, then I think this rivalry is reignited because I think Illinois has kind of owned this rivalry as of late, and it's coming to a point where it's like the Illinois Michigan situation. Like maybe that rivalry is resparked now because Michigan's finally won a game. But I feel like as of late, Illinois has really had the better of Iowa. So if Iowa were to win this, I mean, rivalry on, Illinois is going to be pissed. And it's going to be a situation where, I mean, like you said, we already do have a rivalry with them, the DeMonte Williams, the Big Ten championship game where they missed that three. The other game where um, Kofi blocks Garza. Was it? I think it was Iowa where he blocked Garza at the very end to win a Big Ten championship. And that would, I mean, this. That's why I'm kind of talking like it's an impossibility because if we do lose this game, it's gonna sting so much because it's not like, oh, we lost to Houston. They're the best defense in the country, and Kelvin Sampson's so good and he deserves it. And it's Iowa. It's Ben McCollum's first year. I mean, it can't happen. It just can't happen. And it's not even really a Cinderella because it's not like a Loyola situation or even, like a San Diego State situation. I mean, Iowa's a pretty major name, especially in basketball. I mean, at least in the last 10 years, I would say, with the Murray brothers and Garza. And, they're a solid program and they were expected to do pretty well this year. Obviously, not go to an Elite Eight, but I don't even think you can really consider them a Cinderella, in my opinion. I think any Big Ten team is capable of doing what Iowa's doing because I think the Big Ten's the best conference in college basketball. And I say it every year. And I mean, I'm a Big East fan as well. We're DePaul fans, but I was thinking about it today. Like the Big East had three teams that made it, and yeah, two of them made it to the Sweet 16. Out of the three, which is great. But the Big Ten, at least the last few years, has been so dominant, and that's the reason why, you know, a 10-loss Big Ten team is 9 times out of 10 better than a 7-loss Big 12 team because we just have tougher competition day in and day out. And I think I don't know. I worry. The only thing I do worry about with this game is Sturts goes crazy, and you have the situation where Illinois lets the guy go off for 40 and to think that they can outscore him, and it doesn't work, right? It didn't work in the Alabama game. It didn't work in the Michigan State game. So I'm worrying about that slightly. But if they can do what they've been doing defensively the last 3, 4 games, it's going to be tough. It's going to be really tough for Iowa. And I can give a prediction because I'm not afraid. But
well, I was going to say before we get to predictions, I want to put one more notion to bed because I saw a tweet earlier from a Purdue fan that was suggesting that Illinois has the easiest draw into the Final Four. Like, yeah, we get to face Iowa in the final or in the Elite Eight for a chance at the Final Four, but we just had to beat Houston in the Sweet 16, and especially coming from a Purdue fan who just had to face fucking Texas,
Texas, bro, that's what I'm saying. They had played
analytically
Texas.
the worst team left in the tournament at the
It was
time.
Purdue. It was Purdue, Texas, and Iowa, Nebraska, and we had to play Houston.
Yeah.
I'm like, what the fuck's going on here?
So I wanted to put that notion to bed because I saw people tweeting about it and they were like, oh, Illinois gets to face Iowa, the 9 seed, for a chance at the Final Four. If you've forgotten, we did face UConn in the 2024 Elite Eight for a chance at the Final Four, and that was the only team that nobody was going to beat in the tournament. So we had the luck of the draw to get UConn, and now we have the luck of the draw to face Iowa. So I think all things considered, the universe is pretty evenly balanced when it comes to fairness, especially considering we had to face Houston and Purdue fans had the tall task of their team facing Texas. Ooh, I know Sean Miller is a great March coach, but come on. An 11 seed, Texas,
Didn't
team
we
in the
beat
first
Sean
four.
Miller? Didn't Illinois beat him last year in the tournament? Or am I tripping? Or was he
We
on
did. Yeah,
Texas?
he was Xavier's coach last
He
year.
was right. So
Yeah,
yeah, that's not
we can do
impressive
it. Why
win.
can't you?
Right.
Let's get to predictions now. I'm not going to give one, but I do think on paper this Illinois team's better. That's all I'm going to say. They shouldn't have a problem with Iowa. Knowing Illinois and knowing the sports teams I tend to root for, we will have a problem with Iowa. But I like to believe, and I have the optimism that Illinois will get this one done. Um, it's weird because to me in 2024, I was so sure nobody was going to stop that Illinois team and Terrence Shannon Jr. And then we just ran into UConn. This year, I'm still like, do we have it, man? Are we going to get it done? I haven't been proven otherwise, besides that little stretch of games where they went like 4-7 or 4-5 or whatever. But it, I like the Illini in this one. I'm not giving a score prediction, but I like the Illini.
Yeah, I like them too. I think that they're due for a good offensive performance after the last game. I think they're gonna, although it is in Houston and they still are playing with those overinflated balls, so maybe it'll be another low scoring one. But if Illinois is gonna win, it's gonna be because they pressed Iowa defensively really, really hard. So in terms of a score, I'll go Illinois 74, which isn't that much, and I'll go Iowa. I'll go Iowa 66, 8 point win. I as long as Illinois can make their free throws. That was the really big problem with the Houston game. And if you're not going to make your free throws, and if you're trying to get to the line 20 times like Illinois does, it's not really a good recipe. It's like if you're going to get to the line, you might as well be good at shooting the free throws. So as long as they can shoot the free throws, I think they'll be able to out rebound this Iowa team. I think they'll be able to out physical them. I think they'll be able to pretty much beat them in every aspect of the game. Shooting is going to be interesting. That's where I think Illinois could get beat, and we'll have to see Brad do some better or continue the better in-game coaching like he has been doing the last few games. I think he's been doing a really good job at that, and if he can keep doing that, because Ben McCollum, he's a hell of a coach. I mean, everybody talks about him. They glaze him really. I mean, they won't stop talking about him, quite frankly. So Brad's got to put his foot down. He's got to, be the big man on campus and go, you know what, Ben, you had a good run. Welcome to the Big Ten, but your run ends here, bud. So I'm gonna go 8 point win for Illinois. I'll go MVP. Keaton Wagler, like we said, he needs that 50-point game. He's due, and this is the this is a perfect opponent. He's familiar with their game. We don't have to watch too much film, I imagine. I don't think Iowa is that much differently offensively than when we played them before. And I'd like to think Illinois has gotten better offensively since we last played them. At least Merkovich has matured much more, and Keaton Wagler is as good as any freshman in the country, quite frankly. And it is going to be interesting if we do win this game. And let's just say we play UConn in the Final Four, which, I mean, it's only an 8 point game right now. Hey, it's a 3 point game.
Yeah, it got way
Anyone's
closer.
game. But hey, if we play Michigan State, I'd be much more comfortable playing Michigan State. But quite honestly, I think we can beat either of them. Neither of them scare me as much as Michigan and Arizona. So let's just say we do make the championship game. I mean, it's going to be a team that is healthy, fully healthy, finally, right? This is the perfect time to be fully healthy is right now, and that's exactly what's happening. Knock on wood, obviously, hope to God nobody gets the flu or whatever the hell, tonsils growing back. Who knows what's going to go on with this team? But I like our chances against essentially everyone other than Michigan and Arizona. And quite frankly, maybe I do like our chances against Arizona because we haven't played them this year. We played Michigan and they beat us pretty easily. So I really don't want to see them. And that's the same reason I don't want to see UConn. It's because they also beat us. Now, granted, that was way back in the very beginning of the season. It was at Madison Square Garden. So a lot of factors going into it either way. Although, how no, that would be fitting. First video on the channel, UConn preview. Last video of the season, UConn recap.
Hey, I was gonna say I like the fact that we could face UConn or Michigan State for the fact that it's really hard to beat the same team twice in one season. But with that logic, Illinois might not even get past Iowa because it is really hard to beat the same team twice in one season. As far as MVP prediction for myself, I'm gonna go with Brad Underwood because there's been a lot of talk about Ben McCollum being all this like wizard of a coach. He's brought all these people from Drake, blah blah blah. Like he was a D2 coach, now he's a D1 coach, and he brought Drake to the tournament last year, and now he's bringing Iowa potentially to the Final Four. And on top of him being a wizard, now there was the whole spat with him and Todd Golden where they looked like they were going to punch each other for a little bit in that Florida game. And then I don't know if you saw the clip of Bennett Sturts being asked like, what did Ben McCollum say in one of the timeouts? And Bennett Sturts said Ben McCollum just looked at them, broke his clipboard, threw the marker, and said, "You guys are playing like shit right now." So Ben McCollum's got a little bit of an edge to him, seemingly. But look at this. We're talking about Pizza Hut parking lot,
I
guys.
was just about to bring
We're
up the
talking
Pizza
about
Hut
Pizza
parking
Hut
lot.
parking lot guys here.
You do
And if we're
not want
going
to pull
Pizza Hut
up.
parking lot guys, Ben McCollum versus Brad Underwood, give me Brad Underwood all fucking day. So MVP Brad Underwood, I'm not making a score prediction. I like the Illini's chances in this one. I think they're at like 7.5 points. I think it'll be closer than that for sure. But MVP Brad Underwood, he's gonna out Pizza Hut parking lot Ben McCollum in this one for sure.
Well, the thing about Brad too is he's sneaky and he gets a sneak attack. They didn't see him coming in the locker room with that squirt gun. He snuck up right behind him. And Ben McCollum's not going to see him. He's going to be hiding behind a car in the parking lot. He's going to come behind and hit him with a tire iron around the back of the head. I take Brad all day in a Pizza Hut scrap off, and I'll take Merck. If you give me Merck and Brad, I'll put me up against McCollum and whoever the hell you want from Iowa. I'm taking them. I'm taking Illinois all day. So
Yeah.
I agree. I think this is going to be a big game for Brad. Arguably, I get no, Kelvin Sampson's a better coach than Ben McCollum. I can't, not even close in my opinion. But this will be arguably one of the toughest matchups in terms of, matching up with a coach because everybody's talking, all the analysts right now are completely glazing McCollum, talking about how great of a coach he is and all he does is win. And I'm sitting here like, okay, well, Illinois has been pretty good. We're like the most winningest Big Ten program in the last 5 years or whatever it is. Why not give Brad Underwood a little bit of credit? And it's interesting because did Hoiberg win Coach of the Year? He did, right? For
Yeah.
the
Hmm.
I wonder if maybe now that Ben McCollum's beaten Hoiberg in the tournament, maybe he's like, you know what? I did what I came here to do. I made my point. I made my statement. I left my mark. I'm good with the result. Maybe they're not even going to show up to try to win. It's possible that they are watching film right now and they're like, you know what, guys, we had a really good run, but what the fuck are we going to do against this Illinois team? They got way too many weapons, and quite frankly, I mean, on paper, we're the best team of all time. We have all the height, and everybody can shoot the three. And right now, we're playing lights out defense. Like on paper, we're the national champs right now. So I think it's really, really, really tough to match up with this team. And Kelvin Sampson said it too in the pregame interviews. He's like, I've been watching film on this team and I've become a fan because they're just so good at every position. And Brad Underwood clearly, whatever overarching plan he had, schemed up in the beginning of the season, it's playing out to a T right now. Maybe we hit some bumps on the way and there was points when we wanted Tommy going and Z and Andre, and now it's like we can see what Brad's vision was, and it's like a puzzle and it's all coming together at the very end and it's beautiful.
I said MVP for Brad, and you took it and ran with it, so I like that. But I'm going MVP Brad. I'm not saying that means we win the game. I just think adjustments will be there. I think initial game plan will be there, and I we got to trust our guy. If he's gonna get himself a statue built in front of State Farm Center, it's gonna come because of wins like this. And
Can I say something?
yeah.
I'm really worried that they're gonna get that big jacked guy who was the Florida fan. You
Oh,
saw
and
that guy, right?
and he wore a Nebraska jersey.
He's 0-2 against Iowa right now, and all the
Hey, but
Iowa fans.
I sent you that video of the turtle predicting the game against Houston, and he called Illinois, and then he called Illinois against Iowa too. I'm pretty
The
sure he just eats
turtle,
whatever snack is closest to him, but
we got a matchup of the turtle versus the strong jacked guy, but it's funny
give me
because
the
all the
turtle all day.
the Iowa fans are all in the comments like, get this guy to the game and put him in an Illinois jersey. But quite honestly, that guy in a freaking Merkovich jersey, bro, we're gonna win by 50 points. that's too much aura. You don't want to give that to us because that guy, I thought that guy was Eastern European. And then he starts talking and he sounds like he's from Ohio. I'm like, this guy literally looks like a Russian like experiment. So I think him in a Balkan jersey, you're just completing him. He's going to be in his final form, and we'll just dominate. We might sub him into the game. I mean, at that point, we'll
Give him the Bratislav fit
get
with the arm sleeves cut off though.
give him the Babasic fit. He's making an appearance. Boo!
Thank God we got a Babasic appearance.
Wee!
But I do think if we're down against Iowa, you have to smash him. So
I I'm so scared to smash him, but at the same time, it
whatever
gives
it
me an
takes.
ex at the same time it gives me an excuse to go back to the pottery barn and paint another one,
Yeah,
which I did
another
have a
one.
really good time there. So
You can bring a
I
girl
think
too.
on an upcoming video, I will smash it.
All right, cool. We've got a bunch of future planned out videos. We got to get a Montenegrin, Serbian, Croatian dinner. We've got to smash Babasic.
We got to do a 2-on-2 basketball game against Sleepers. Also, shout out Sleepers for wearing our hat in the video
Oh, that
and
was cool.
giving us a shout out.
I woke up to a text from a friend who I typically don't text like individually, like only in group chats would I ever hear from him. And he was like, "Bro, you gotta watch the Sleepers video." I immediately like sprung up, saw the hat, and then I wasn't even expecting the shout out, but I just saw the hat and was like, "That's fucking awesome." And then he was like, Illa effing Noy because I got the Chillinois guys hat on from the Chillinois podcast, and I was like, let's go, Greg. Thank you, Greg." Um, so that was cool of them.
Yeah, that was great. And I ordered, I don't know if I mentioned it, but I ordered a shit ton more merch. So I got two different hats on the way, t-shirt, got the beer glass. The merch is all still available, ladies and gentlemen. It's cheap too, dude. The hat that I got that I gave to Greg, I mean, it's not the highest quality hat, it's
Not
kind
bad.
of it's like Chinese, it is what it is.
I
But
think this
it
hat
was
was made in China too. So,
like $18 for that hat, dude. And the glass, it was like little like $15 for the whiskey glass. It's all cheap stuff, but it's cool. It's got the brand on it. If you do get the glassware, don't wash it in the dishwasher.
oh
It
gosh,
will kind of fall
yeah, that's
apart. I
always
I
happens.
only hand wash mine anyway, and so just a warning. But I do have that merch on the way, so when it arrives, I'll do a little bit of a fashion show, kind of show it off. We had a cool, I mean, one of the t-shirts in there is really, really cool. I didn't even know we had it in there. I was like, is this a new edition? So that's on the way.
Yeah, all of that money goes to cancer research as well with Coaches versus Cancer. We had somebody in the sleepers, like they commented and were like, "Where can I get that hat?" And I was like, I don't want to get too self-promotional in another person's video, another channel's video, but I did put the link in there. And then speaking of merchandise, I do want to make a quick bracket challenge update. He's been leading the entire time right now. Jeff Moore is still at the top with 720 points, 99.4 percentile on ESPN. Second place is Circle Storm. Third place is Imperfect Bracket. And then fourth place is actually us. We jumped up a ton after Illinois won yesterday because we are the only bracket besides ESPN Fan 2409. I'm not going to go through the rest of the numbers. That's a long name. And then Imperfect Bracket. There's only three people in the Chillinois Bracket Challenge that took Illinois to win. So we could be looking at winning some of our own merchandise, Noah. But like I said before, if
I'm not seeing Tennessee in this pick. I don't know if this is an accurate bracket.
Freakin' Creakin',
It
that's Jeff
can't be.
Moore.
It
That's
can't
his
be.
YouTube name. And then
He picked Iowa State over Tennessee.
he's not a Tennessee fan. Remember, he's a Louisville fan. He's a Tennessee insider, but he's a Louisville fan.
Oh, see, that's the thing. We need to be inside more. Like we got insiders, but we need to be on the inside. We need to get we need to get Sahel back on the show, man. Where's he been
The
at? He's
Hill was sitting courtside at the game last night. You could see him on TV.
he's big balling.
Yeah, he is big time now. So we'll have to have him on in a future video, hopefully. But the Illini will face Iowa tomorrow night, 5:09 p.m. on TBS for a chance at the Final Four. My gosh,
Il-
man, this is going to mean so much if they get to it. Um,
Illinois -7.5 currently. Opened at -6.5, so it's widening, which kind of concerns me.
concerns me.
But I mean, dude, Arizona is only -6.5. So
Against Purdue,
interesting.
though. I think Purdue's a little bit better than Iowa.
This Purdue team, similar to this Iowa team, is very susceptible, and it wouldn't surprise me if Purdue just gets routed. But to be fair, I thought Iowa was going to get routed against Nebraska, and it didn't happen. So
Well, we will certainly find out tomorrow. There's two good games tomorrow, Purdue, Arizona, and Illinois, Iowa. Illinois, Iowa will be the first one of the evening, and I can only hope they win it because I would like to spend the rest of my night watching the Arizona Purdue game, being very happy. Um, are you coming to the city? We know we can. I'm going to ask you live. Are you coming to the city tomorrow?
yeah, it's at 5 o'clock.
Yeah. I mean,
I
I have
can
you can have the parking spot and park the car, and you can
Chillinois,
on the couch.
Chillinois. Should we do a live stream of the
Well, I
game?
don't know about a live stream, but I'm gonna be at Brickyard tomorrow. So if anybody watches the podcast and they're from Chicago and they're gonna be at Brickyard Tavern, which is right next to Wrigley, definitely put a comment in and I'll look out for you tomorrow. And we
Wait,
can get
wait, what if there's like 400 people that show up and they're like, Chillinois,
I would
chill.
be I would be I would have anxiety, I think.
You're like, you gotta
Um,
get down here right now.
but I mean, I think regardless of whether we do something live or like a live stream, I think we should just probably make like a fan blog and we should interview drunk fans before the Illinois game and after the Illinois game. I hope they win. That would make for better content. But I mean, I guess if they lost, we could interview a bunch of drunk Illinois fans that were sad as well. So either way, let me know if you're coming tomorrow. I don't know if that convinced you, but if you guys are in the comments, tell Noah to come to the city tomorrow. I know the Rockford drive is a long drive, but could be cool. I'll be there nonetheless. So if anybody's listening and wants to watch with me, I'm not gonna say I'll buy you a beer because it's gonna depend on how the game goes. I'm not gonna buy you a beer if I'm pissed off and in a bad mood, but come say hi and we can take a picture together or something, and I'll post it on the channel because I'm so
He'll
famous.
sign you an
We're
autograph.
so famous tomorrow. One more time, in case you didn't hear it already, the Illinois Fighting Illini will face Iowa for a chance to go to the Final Four tomorrow night on TBS at 5:09 p.m. Noah ILL.
I and I.